Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, summer of 1937. The air inside the railroad maintenance shed tastes like iron and coal dust. Not the kind you wash off your hands at the end of a shift, the kind that settles into your lungs and stays there. Elias Carver is 22 years old. His hands are black with grease up to the wrists. He doesn't notice anymore. His father, Nathaniel Carver, kneels beside a massive turbine, 52 years old, back bent from 3 decades in these sheds. The turbine is taller than both of them, a steel drum the size of a truck engine. It turns coal into motion, heat into pressure, stillness into speed. Nathaniel's hands move across the surface, slow, methodical, feeling for something Elias can't see. "Come here." Elias steps closer. The turbine radiates warmth. It hasn't run in 2 days, still hot. "Put your hand here." Nathaniel guides Elias's palm to a spot on the drum. "Tell me what you feel." Elias closes his eyes. Metal, smooth. Then something else, a vibration, barely there, like the ghost of movement that stopped before it should have. "It's uneven," Elias says. Nathaniel nods. The bearing seized, not all the way, just enough. The manual says this model runs at 2000 RPM for 72 hours before inspection. But the manual doesn't account for the Pittsburgh cold in January, doesn't account for the coal quality dropping last month, doesn't account for reality. He pulls a wrench from his belt, begins loosening bolts. "A good mechanic doesn't follow the manual when the manual is wrong," Nathaniel says. "He follows the machine." Elias watches his father work, the way he counts each turn of the wrench, the way he pauses between movements, listening to sounds no one else hears. "Machines don't lie, son. They either work or they break. Your job is to see the break before it happens." The turbine gets repaired, runs for another 8 years without failure. Elias will remember this moment 6 years later, in a place that smells nothing like coal dust, where the rules say one thing and the machine says another. Monte Cassino, Italy. September 14th, 1943. 6:30 a.m. The morning comes up grey. No sunrise, just a slow shift from black to ash. The kind of light that makes everything look already dead. Elias Carver sits in a foxhole. 28 years old now, Corporal, 36th Infantry Division. His hands are clean, no grease, just dirt and the faint chemical smell of gun oil. He's been in Italy for 4 months. North Africa before that. Sicily. The names blur together after a while. Across from him, Sergeant Brennan reads from a clipboard. 40 years old, Irish by way of Boston, voice like gravel in a can. "New directive from battalion," Brennan says. "Effective immediately. No forward positions in unstable structures. Engineers mark 3 buildings in our sector. Red paint. You see red paint, you stay the hell out." He looks up from the clipboard, makes eye contact with each man in the foxhole. They're talking about that barn, the one on the ridge. Half the roof is gone. Foundation's cracked. One good breeze and the whole thing comes down. Anyone caught in there gets court-martialed. "We clear?" Murmurs of agreement. Carver says nothing. He's looking at the barn. 300 yards northeast, sitting on higher ground. Stone walls, what's left of them. The angle gives it a sight line over the entire valley, over the road below. Supply route amber. The road is 12 feet wide, packed dirt and gravel. It connects the 36th to the ammunition depot at Caserta. Every 48 hours, a convoy runs it. 6 trucks, sometimes 8. They carry mortar shells, medical supplies, rations, the bullets that keep the line operational. Carver knows the numbers. A machine gun crew burns through 200 rounds per engagement. Multiply that by the positions along the front. Add the mortars, the rifles, the Brownings that chew through magazines like hunger. Without resupply, the 36th goes quiet within 3 days. One of the privates calls out from deeper in the foxhole. "Sarge, radio's dead. Lightning hit the antenna last night. Repair team's coming this afternoon." Brennan curses under his breath. "How long?" "They said 1400 hours, maybe later." 2 p.m., 4 hours from now, maybe more. Brennan looks at the sky like it personally betrayed him, then shrugs. "Nothing we can do. Just means we're on our own till then. Keep your eyes open. Use runners if you need to communicate." He folds the clipboard, lights a cigarette. The smoke hangs in the still air. "Carver, you're on patrol, North Sector. Check the tree line. Report back every hour on foot." Carver nods, picks up his rifle. M1903 Springfield. 5 rounds in the magazine, 60 more in the pouch at his hip. The metal is cold, familiar. He's fired this rifle 500 times in training, 43 times in combat. He knows its weight, its pull, the way the stock kicks back into his shoulder. He climbs out of the foxhole, starts walking north. The ground is uneven, rocks and roots, patches of dry grass between stretches of bare earth. Olive trees grow in scattered groves, their branches hang low and dark. Carver moves carefully, steps over loose stones, avoids snapping branches. The kind of walking you learn when survival depends on silence. His thumb rubs the stock of his rifle as he walks. A habit borrowed from his father, checking for smoothness, for flaws in the grain. The wood is walnut, finished with linseed oil. Over time, the spot where his thumb rests has worn lighter than the rest, a small oval of polished grain. The valley is quiet. Too quiet. 10:45 a.m. Carver crouches behind a cluster of rocks, looking down into the olive grove. He's been watching for 15 minutes. Something isn't right. The birds are gone, not just quiet, gone. The small brown sparrows that nest in the lower branches, the wood pigeons that move between the trees, nothing, just leaves and shadow. But the leaves are moving, not from wind. The air is still, from displacement, human weight shifting through agricultural cover. He brings the rifle scope to his eye, scans left to right, slow, letting his vision adjust to the magnified field. A branch shifts, 30 yards out. Small disturbance in the canopy, could be an animal, except the pattern is wrong. Animals move erratically. This is controlled. 30 seconds later, another shift. 60 yards east, infantry, using the canopy line to advance without breaking silhouette. Carver starts counting. 1, 2, 3. They move in intervals, 10 to 15 yards between positions, far enough that a grenade won't take 2 men, close enough to maintain visual contact. 4, 5, 6. Standard doctrine for movement through observed terrain. Stay low, use natural concealment, move in staggered timing. 7, 8. These aren't conscripts. This is training, discipline. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. He keeps counting, marking each position mentally, watching the pattern. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 18 men, moving in a coordinated advance. 2-man intervals, clear formation. They're not scouting, they're setting up. One soldier kneels near a low stone wall, 70 yards from the road. His hands move in small, precise gestures, adjusting something. Carver can't see what, but he recognizes the motion, the careful placement, the angle. A machine gun, Breeder M37, Italian, 8mm, belt-fed. Effective range 800 yards. The angle is perfect for enfilading fire on supply route amber. Anyone driving through that section will be exposed for 30 full seconds. No cover, no escape. Carver lowers the scope, pulls a map from his jacket, unfolds it across his knee. The convoy schedule is written in pencil at the top. Information from yesterday's briefing. Departure from Caserta, 12:30 hours. Travel time, 45 minutes. Estimated arrival at 36 positions, 13-15 hours. But convoys don't always run on time. Sometimes they leave early, sometimes late. Depends on fuel, depends on roads, depends on 100 variables no one controls. He checks his watch. 11:08 a.m. 2 hours and 7 minutes until scheduled arrival. His breath comes steady. No panic, just calculation. The same way his father calculated pressure tolerances in turbines. Input, output, time, distance. The Italians are 10 minutes away from being fully set up. By 11:30, they'll be in position, guns sighted, fields of fire overlapping, withdrawal routes confirmed. The convoy is scheduled to pass through at 1:15. The trucks will come around the bend, doing maybe 20 miles per hour, slow enough to navigate the turns, fast enough that stopping takes distance. The lead driver won't see them until he's past the stone wall. By then, the machine gun will already be firing. Simple arithmetic. 6 trucks enter, maybe 2 make it out, the rest burn where they stop. Carver folds the map, slides it back into his jacket. Protocol says, spot enemy movement, withdraw to your unit. Report through the chain of command, let intelligence confirm, let officers coordinate, let the system process the information and produce a response calibrated to the threat level. The protocol exists for a reason. Lone soldiers make mistakes. They misidentify friendlies. They waste ammunition on targets that don't matter. They break operational security. Individual judgment introduces variables the system can't predict. But he also knows the timing. It's 11:12 a.m. now, even if he runs. If he leaves the rifle, abandons his position and sprints the 200 yards back to the foxhole, his report will take time to process. He'll reach Sergeant Brennan. But there's no radio. Brennan will have to send a runner to battalion, on foot. Through 2 miles of rough terrain, 30 minutes, maybe 40. Then comes confirmation. The intelligence officer will want verification, independent observation, a second pair of eyes. They'll reassign a patrol. 2 men, maybe 3. With binoculars, the patrol will move carefully. They won't use the condemned barn, too dangerous. They'll find another position farther back, less exposure. They'll observe, confirm enemy presence, estimate numbers, send another runner back, another 30 minutes, maybe more. Then comes consultation. The battalion commander will weigh options. Artillery strike? Possible. But the Italians are close to the tree line. Shelling risks collateral damage. Redirect the convoy? Possible. But alternate routes add hours, and the 36th needs resupply today, not tomorrow. Send an infantry squad to clear the ambush? Possible. But that pulls men from the line, alerts the enemy to American awareness. Another 20 minutes to decide, another 40 to execute. By the time any response is authorized, it will be too late. The Italians will be entrenched, or the convoy will already be moving. The system can't adapt fast enough. Carver looks back at the barn, the condemned structure, the one with red paint slashed across the doorframe, 300 yards from the ambush zone, elevated 12 feet above the valley floor, sightline that covers the entire kill zone, from the stone wall to the drainage culvert. No one else is there. No one else sees what he sees. He thinks about his father. That conversation in the railroad shed. The turbine that would have exploded if Nathaniel had followed the manual instead of the machine. The system right now is 18 men, 1 road, and 1 rifle. Carver exhales slowly. His breath doesn't fog. The air has warmed. He shifts his weight, starts moving toward the barn. The ground slopes upward, rocky, uneven. He keeps low, uses the terrain, stays below the sight line. At 11:47 a.m., Elias Carver reaches the barn. The structure leans at 40 degrees, half the roof is gone. Rafters hang like broken ribs, black from old fire, the stone walls are thick. 18th century construction, built to last, but the wood is compromised, rotten, unstable. Red paint marks the doorframe, a diagonal slash, universal symbol for structural condemnation. Carver stands at the threshold, looking in. The floor is cracked, covered in debris, broken beams, shattered tile. Dust hangs in the air, catching the light like smoke. He can still turn back. He can follow protocol, report what he's seen, trust the system. But the convoy doesn't know it's being hunted, and the system can't move fast enough to save it. Carver steps inside. The floor creaks beneath his weight. Loud, too loud. He freezes, listens. Nothing. Just wind through the broken rafters. He takes another step. The wood groans, dust falls from above in a thin stream. His heart pounds, not from exertion, from fear. This is wrong. Every regulation says this is wrong, but his father's voice is in his head. A good mechanic doesn't follow the manual when the manual is wrong. He follows the machine. Carver moves deeper into the barn, toward the ladder that leads to the second floor. The ladder is missing half its rungs. The ones that remain are black with rot. He tests the first step, puts weight on it slowly. It holds. He climbs. Each rung creaks. Each movement sends vibrations through the structure. The barn sways slightly, like it's breathing. At the top, he crawls across the floor, finds a position near the broken wall. Through the gap in the stone, he can see the valley, the road, the olive groves, and 18 Italian soldiers moving into ambush formation. Carver pulls the bolt back on his M19-003, checks the chamber, empty, clean. He reaches for the ammunition pouch at his hip, pulls out a 5-round stripper clip, loads it. The rounds slide into the internal magazine with a soft click. He chambers the first round. The bolt locks forward. The rifle is ready. The choice isn't emotional, it's operational. The machine is about to break, and Elias Carver is the only part positioned to stop it. He brings the scope to his eye, finds his first target, the soldier by the stone wall, the one adjusting the machine gun. Carver's breathing slows. His thumb rubs the walnut stock. One last time, then he waits. 11 minutes until the first shot. 12:04 p.m. Carver lies flat on the barn's second floor. The wood beneath him is soft, rotten. He can feel it compressing under his weight, like lying on something that's already decided to fail, just hasn't gotten around to it yet. Through the crack in the stone wall, he watches the Italians work. They move with purpose, no wasted motion. One team sets up the breeder. Another marks firing lanes with small stones. A third group spreads along the tree line, professional, disciplined. Carver's mouth is dry. He hasn't taken a drink in 3 hours. The canteen is on his belt, but he doesn't reach for it. Movement draws eyes. His hands are steady. They always are. But there's a tightness in his chest, like someone standing on his ribs. Fear. He recognizes it, doesn't fight it. His father taught him that too. Fear is information. It tells you the machine is under stress. Tells you to pay attention. He shifts slightly, trying to find a position where his weight distributes better. That's when he sees it, to his left, partially hidden by a fallen beam. A boot. American. GI issue, size 10, maybe 11. The leather is weathered, cracked, the laces are still tied. Carver's breath stops. He doesn't want to look, already knows what he's going to see, but he looks anyway. The body is slumped against the wall, what's left of it. 3 weeks dead, maybe more. The uniform is 36th Infantry Division, same as Carver. The name tape is too faded to read. The face is gone, just bone and dried tissue. Carver closes his eyes, counts to 3, opens them again. The soldier is still there. He'd been part of a patrol, probably. Caught in the barn during the shelling 3 weeks ago. Or maybe he came here wounded, looking for cover, found it, but not help. No one knew he was here. The barn was already condemned. No reason to search it. He died alone. Carver swallows. His throat clicks. He's lying 4 feet from a corpse, preparing to violate the same order that killed this man. The irony isn't lost on him. He could leave right now, climb back down, report what he's seen, let the system handle it. But he looks at his watch instead. 12:08 p.m., 1 hour and 7 minutes until scheduled convoy arrival. Maybe less if they left early, maybe more if they're delayed. He doesn't know. Can't know. All he can do is watch the Italians finish their work and make sure they don't get the chance to use it. Carver stays. 12:11 p.m. The first Italian soldier kneels beside the braider, adjusting the tripod, getting the angle right. He's young, maybe 23, dark hair, needs a shave. He has no idea he's being watched. Carver centers the crosshairs on the soldier's chest, right between the second and third button of his uniform. His finger rests on the trigger. Not pulling yet, just resting. He thinks about his father, about turbines, about the moment when you stop following the manual and start following the machine. This is that moment. Carver exhales halfway, holds it, squeezes. The M1903 kicks. The recoil travels through his shoulder. Solid, familiar. 300 yards downrange, the Italian soldier drops. For 3 seconds, nothing happens. The valley holds its breath. Then chaos. The Italians scatter. Some drop flat. Others sprint for deeper cover. They're shouting, not panic. Commands, organized, return, fire comes fast. Rifle shots crack through the air. Not wild, not random, they're aiming at the barn. They've identified his position. Quick, too quick. Carver works the bolt. The spent casing ejects, tumbles through the air, lands somewhere in the rubble with a faint metallic ping. He chambers another round, finds another target, a soldier running toward the drainage culvert. Carver leads him, fires. The man goes down. More return fire, heavier now. Rounds punch through the barn's rotten wood. One passes close enough that Carver feels the displacement of air against his face. Splinters rain down. The barn shudders once, a warning tremor. Carver keeps shooting. Not for kills, for disruption. A round into the dirt 3 feet from the machine gun position forces them to abandon it. Relocate. Another shot through a canvas pack. It explodes in a cloud of white powder. Flour or medical supplies, doesn't matter. The Italians are pulling back, but not retreating, regrouping. And that's when Carver realizes his mistake. These aren't regular infantry. The way they move, the discipline, the immediate coordinated response to contact. Bersaglieri, Italian sharpshooter corps, elite light infantry, the ones with the feathered hats and the reputation for being harder to kill than regular conscripts. Carver has just started a fight with 18 of Italy's best soldiers, and he's alone in a building that's falling apart. 12:23 p.m. Italian return fire is systematic now. They've identified the general area of his position. They're walking fire across the second floor. Methodical, professional. A beam above Carver's head cracks, splinters, sags dangerously. He rolls left. The beam crashes down where he was lying 2 seconds ago. Dust fills the air, thick, choking. Carver coughs. Can't help it. The sound echoes in the confined space. More shots. Closer. He reloads, hands moving by muscle memory. Stripper clip. 5 rounds. Push down. Strip away, chamber. Through the scope, he sees the Italians splitting into 2 groups. 12 men pulling back toward the tree line, taking covering positions, providing suppressive fire, but 6 are doing something else, moving forward toward the barn. Carver's stomach drops. They're not content to wait him out. They're going to assault his position. He counts them again. 6 men, moving in pairs, using the terrain, bounding overwatch. One pair moves while the other covers. They're 200 yards out now. Closing. He has 13 rounds left. 6 enemies advancing. 12 providing covering fire. The arithmetic is bad. Carver fires at the advancing soldiers, not to kill, to slow them down, make them think twice. One shot forces a pair to dive behind a rock outcropping. Another keeps a soldier pinned behind an olive tree for 10 precious seconds. But they're still coming. 150 yards now. He glances at his watch. 12:28. The convoy is scheduled to arrive in 47 minutes, or it should be, but something's wrong. The Italians are too aggressive, like they're on a schedule, like they know something Carver doesn't. And then he understands. The convoy schedule, 12:30 departure from Caserta, 45-minute travel time, 13:15 arrival. That's if everything goes according to plan. But what if they left early? What if the fuel arrived ahead of schedule? What if the drivers decided to beat the afternoon heat? What if someone made a decision that seemed insignificant at the time, but changed everything? Carver's pulse spikes. He looks at his watch again. 12:31. If the convoy left at 12:15 instead of 12:30, just 15 minutes early, they'd be on the road right now. They'd reach the kill zone in 27 minutes. Not 1 hour, 27 minutes. His hands start shaking. Not from fear this time, from the realization that he's been calculating based on the wrong timeline. The Italians know, that's why they're pushing forward. That's why the 6 soldiers are assaulting his position instead of waiting. They're trying to neutralize him before the convoy arrives, which means they have intelligence, which means they know the convoy left early. And Carver is out of time. He fires 3 more shots in rapid succession, doesn't aim carefully, just creates noise, danger, confusion. The advancing soldiers hit the ground, hesitate, valuable seconds. He has 10 rounds left, 6 enemies at 120 yards, 12 more in the tree line providing fire. The floor beneath him tilts, barely noticeable, maybe 2 degrees. The barn is failing. Carver makes a decision. He's not going to survive this. The barn will collapse or the Italians will overrun his position. Either way, he's dead. But the convoy might still make it through. If he can hold long enough, if he can keep these 18 men pinned, disorganized, unable to execute their ambush, that's all that matters now. Not survival. Function. Make the machine work. 12:43 p.m., 7 rounds left. The 6 advancing Italians are 70 yards from the barn, close enough that Carver can see their faces through the scope. Young men, scared but determined, close enough to throw grenades if they get much closer. Carver fires, aims for the lead soldier's leg, not a kill shot, a wounding. The man goes down screaming. His partner stops to help him. 2 soldiers out of the fight, at least temporarily. 4 left advancing. Carver works the bolt. Chambers another round, 6 bullets remaining, and then he hears it. Engines, diesel, low and mechanical. The sound bounces off the valley walls. GMCCCKWW, 6-cylinder. The convoy. Carver risks a glance through the southern crack in the wall. Down at the road, 6 trucks, moving cautiously, maybe 15 miles per hour. Slower than usual, careful. They're 400 yards from the kill zone. 3 minutes, maybe less. The Italians hear it too. The 12 men in the tree line are shifting positions, trying to get back to the ambush points, but they're out of position. Carver's fire has disrupted their entire setup. The 6 near the barn are caught in the middle, too far from the road to engage effectively, too close to retreat without being seen. Carver fires his 6th to last round at the machine gun position. The breeder is still there. Abandoned but functional. The round hits the tripod, knocks it sideways. The gun tilts, unusable without adjustment. 5 bullets left. The convoy is 200 yards from the kill zone now. 90 seconds. The floor drops, not much, 3 inches, but enough to send Carver sliding toward the edge. He grabs a rafter with his left hand. The wood is rough. Hot from the sun, he still has the rifle in his right hand. The convoy is 100 yards from the kill zone. 60 seconds, the Italians are scrambling, trying to salvage the ambush, but they're scattered, disorganized. Some are still pinned by Carver's fire. Others are trying to relocate to new positions. It's not going to work. Not in time. Carver uses his fifth-to-last round, fires at the ground in front of the nearest soldier, creates a dust cloud, makes him flinch, wastes 5 precious seconds. 4 rounds left. The convoy enters the kill zone. 30 seconds of exposure. The Italians fire. A few rifle shots. Scattered. Uncoordinated. Nothing sustained. Nothing effective. The lead truck doesn't even slow down. The driver has no idea how close he came. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trucks. They roll through unscathed. The soldiers in the truck beds sit on crates of ammunition and medical supplies, talking, smoking, living. They'll never know. At 12:56 p.m., the convoy disappears around the southern ridge. Safe. Carver lowers his rifle, looks at the dead American soldier slumped against the wall 4 feet away. "They made it," he says quietly. The dead man doesn't answer. The barn gives a long, sustained groan. The sound of wood under stress. Under terminal stress, Carver has maybe 30 seconds before the whole thing comes down. He doesn't waste them. He moves to the southern window, the opening where glass used to be. 15 feet down is a pile of rubble and weeds, soft enough. Maybe. He jumps, lands hard. His ankle twists, pain shoots up his leg like electricity. But he's alive. Behind him, the barn collapses. The main support beam snaps with a sound like a gunshot. The second floor drops. The walls fold inward. Stone and wood and 200 years of history crash down in a cloud of dust. When the dust clears, there's nothing left but a pile of debris. And somewhere in that debris, buried under the weight of it all, is the body of an American soldier who died alone 3 weeks ago. Now he has company. The barn that sheltered him is his tomb. Carver doesn't look back. He picks up his rifle, 4 rounds left, functionally empty, and starts the long walk back to his unit. 1:30 p.m. The walk back takes 23 minutes. Carver moves slowly. His ankle throbs with each step, not broken, just twisted. The kind of injury that will hurt for a week and then fade into the catalogue of small damages the body collects in war. He stays low, uses the terrain, old habit. Even though the Italians are gone now, pulled back into the hills, he can still feel their eyes on him. His uniform is torn, grey with dust. There's blood on his left sleeve, not his. Must have gotten on him when he landed in the rubble. From somewhere, from something, the dead have a way of leaving marks. He reaches the tree line 200 yards from the foxhole, stops, leans against an olive tree. The bark is rough against his back. His hands are shaking again. Delayed reaction. The adrenaline is wearing off, leaving him hollow. He looks at his rifle. The M1903 that fired 56 rounds without jamming, without failing, reliable as clockwork. Nearly empty now, he ejects the magazine, slides it into his pouch, muscle memory, even when there's almost nothing left to save. Somewhere in the distance he can hear voices. American, his unit. Carver takes a breath, steps out of the tree line. Sergeant Brennan sees him first. The sergeant is standing outside the foxhole, smoking. The cigarette stops halfway to his mouth when he spots Carver. Their eyes meet. Brennan's face doesn't change. No surprise, no anger, just a long, measuring look, like he's calculating something. Then he takes a drag on his cigarette, looks away. "Where the hell were you, Carver?" Carver limps closer, each step careful. "Scouting, North Sector, like you said." "Long scout. Radio check?" Didn't have one." Brennan nods slowly, flicks ash from his cigarette. "Barnes been condemned for 3 weeks, you know that?" "Yes, Sergeant." "Anyone goes in there, they get court-martialed?" "Yes, Sergeant." Brennan takes another drag, exhales smoke through his nose. Funny thing, I was watching the valley. Saw some Italian activity around 1100 hours. Looked like they were setting up for something. Then they scattered. Pulled back northeast around 1300. Carver says nothing. Real funny timing, Brennan continues, right before the convoy came through. Convoy made it through clean, by the way. Not a scratch. First time in 3 weeks we didn't lose trucks on that route. The silence stretches. Other soldiers are watching now, curious, but not asking questions. Brennan crushes the cigarette under his boot. Get that ankle looked at. Medics in the next foxhole over. Yes, Sergeant. Carver starts to walk away. Carver. He stops, turns back. Brennan is looking at him again, that same measuring expression. Good scouting. It's not approval, not exactly. It's acknowledgement. Recognition without reward. The only kind that matters. Carver nods once. Keeps walking. Behind him, Sergeant Brennan lights another cigarette. Says nothing to anyone else. Some things don't need to be spoken. September 17th, 1943. 3 days later, the farmhouse sits 2 miles behind the line. Red tile roof, stone walls that have stood for 200 years, longer than America has existed. Inside, the rooms have been converted into offices, field desks, radio equipment, maps pinned to walls with thumbtacks. Captain Drummond's office is on the 2nd floor, small, window facing west. The afternoon light comes in at an angle, makes the dust visible in the air. Carver stands at attention. His ankle still hurts, but he's not limping anymore. Drummond sits behind a field desk, 45 years old, grey at the temples, reading glasses perched on his nose. He's looking at a piece of paper, doesn't look up when he speaks. At ease, Corporal. Carver shifts his weight, hands behind his back. Drummond sets the paper down, removes his glasses, rubs the bridge of his nose. Intelligence filed an interesting report 2 days ago. Enemy activity near supply route Amber. Small arms engagement. Approximately 60 rounds expended. Origin unconfirmed. He looks at Carver now. You know anything about that? No, sir. Drummond picks up the paper again, reads from it. Engineers inspected the condemned barn, the one that collapsed on the 14th, found 60 shell casings inside. 30-06, standard issue, also found evidence of a defensive position. Someone had been up there for at least an hour. He sets the paper down again. Still don't know anything? Carver's jaw tightens. No, sir. Drummond leans back in his chair. The wood creaks. That convoy you were supposed to be scouting for. The one that rolled through at 12:56 hours. Intelligence estimates there was a coordinated ambush being set up. Machine gun. Overlapping fields of fire, professional work, Bersaglieri probably. He pauses. The ambush never happened. The Italians scattered before the convoy arrived. No one knows why. The room is quiet except for the sound of wind through the open window. You understand what I'm telling you, Carver? Yes, sir. Good. Drummond opens a drawer, pulls out a pack of Winston cigarettes, tosses it across the desk. Carver catches it, looks at the pack. Unopened. That convoy had medical supplies, Drummond says. Morphine, sulfur powder, plasma. 3 men in Fox Company are alive right now because those supplies got through. They don't know that. They'll never know that. He stands, walks to the window, looks out at the valley. Officially, this conversation didn't happen. The report will say the Italians were spooked by artillery, or reconnaissance, or bad intelligence on their part. It won't mention a condemned barn, it won't mention shell casings, it won't mention you. Carver doesn't move. Drummond turns from the window. Unofficially, thank you. He extends his hand. Carver shakes it. The captain's grip is firm, brief. That's all, Corporal. Dismissed. Carver salutes, turns to leave. Carver. He stops at the door. "Don't do it again." "No, sir." He walks out, down the stairs, out of the farmhouse. The pack of Winstons is still in his hand. He never smokes them, keeps them in his pack for the rest of the war. Through the rest of Italy, through France, through Germany. A reminder that some debts can't be repaid with medals or commendations, only with silence. September 22nd, 1943. 8 days after the collapse, the engineers arrive at the barn site at 0800 hours. 3 men, a demolition team. They carry equipment, charges, detonators, the tools of controlled destruction. The barn is already down, has been for over a week, but battalion wants the site cleared, debris removed, no structure left that could provide cover to enemy forces. The engineers survey the ruins, what's left of them, stone walls partially collapsed, wooden beams rotted and broken. The whole thing looks like it fell on its own. Age and weather and time, which is exactly what the report will say. The team leader checks his clipboard, reads the demolition order, looks at the rubble. "Doesn't look like much," he says. "It's not," one of his men replies. "Place was condemned in August. We were always going to take it down." They place charges at the base of the remaining walls, small ones, just enough to finish what gravity started. At 0845 hours, they detonate. The explosions are controlled, professional. The walls fold inward, efficient. By noon, the rubble is cleared, loaded onto trucks, hauled away. The site is empty, just grass and dirt and a few scattered stones. By evening, the engineers file their report. Condemned structure demolished as scheduled, no complications. No mention of shell casings that were removed 3 days prior. No mention of the defensive position on the second floor. No mention of the American soldier who died there 3 weeks ago. His body was recovered, identified, buried with honors, but the connection between his death and the barn's use was never made. The system keeps moving, the gears turn, and the barn that saved 40 men becomes a footnote in a maintenance log. Structure number 247, demolished per battalion directive. Site cleared for agricultural use. The Italians who tried to ambush the convoy never file a report about what happened. It's not the kind of thing you document. An elite squad scattered by a single rifleman, an ambush that failed before it began. Some failures are best forgotten on both sides. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, October 1983. 40 years later, Elias Carver is 68 years old, retired, lives alone in a house 3 blocks from the railroad yard where his father worked. The house smells like coffee and old paper, the kind of smell that accumulates over decades, that becomes invisible to the person who lives there. Carver sits at the kitchen table. Morning light comes through the window. There's a cup of coffee cooling in front of him. He hasn't touched it. He's looking at an envelope. Italian postmark, return address in Rome, name he doesn't recognize, Antonio Russo. The letter inside is written in English. The handwriting is careful, precise. Dear Corporal Carver, my name is Antonio Russo. We have never met, but I believe we know each other. September 14th, 1943. Monte Cassino. Supply route Amber. I was there. I was one of the 18 men in the olive grove that day. Bersaglieri Corps. 3rd Squad. I was 24 years old. It was my first combat deployment. We were told the Americans would not see us coming, that we would strike and withdraw before they knew what happened. We were told it would be simple. It was not simple. Someone was in the barn. The condemned one. We knew it was condemned. We assumed no one would be foolish enough to use it. We were wrong. That someone fired 60 times, we counted. After the Americans left, we went to the barn, found the casings, all 60. We counted them twice. 1 man, no support, no relief, no retreat. 6 of my brothers died that day. 12 were wounded. I was one of the lucky ones, a bullet through my canteen, water everywhere. I thought I was bleeding out. Took me 10 seconds to realize I was fine. I have carried that memory for 40 years. The image of that barn, the sound of the shots, The realization that one person held off 18. I do not right to accuse, I right to respect. War makes enemies of strangers, time makes strangers of enemies, but some actions transcend both. I do not know if you are the man who was in that barn. Your name appears in no official record. But a friend in the Veterans Administration helped me find soldiers from the 36th Infantry Division. Your name came up. Something told me to write. If I am wrong, please forgive an old man's foolishness. If I am right, please know that what you did was seen, was remembered, was honored. In war, we were enemies. In peace, we are only men who survived. Respectfully, Antonio Russo Carver reads the letter 3 times. Then he folds it carefully, puts it back in the envelope. He stands, walks to the closet, pulls out a box from the top shelf. Inside are the things he kept from the war. Not many, a field cap, dog tags, a map of Italy with pencil marks showing where he'd been. The pack of Winston cigarettes Captain Drummond gave him, still unopened after 40 years, and, at the bottom, wrapped in cloth, is a single rifle cartridge, 30-06, unfired. The 61st bullet. His father gave it to him the day he left for basic training, August 1942. The old man had pressed it into Carver's palm outside the Pittsburgh train station. For when the machine breaks, Nathaniel had said, for when the manual is wrong. Carver never fired it, carried it through every engagement, every firefight, every moment when he thought he might need one more round. But he never did. 60 was enough. He holds it now. The brass is tarnished, dull. The weight is familiar. He thinks about writing back to Antonio Russo, decides not to. Some conversations are complete before they begin. Monte Cassino, Italy, June 1985, 2 years later. Carver stands on a hillside overlooking the valley. 70 years old now. Grey hair. Hands that shake slightly when he's tired. The barn is gone. Has been for 42 years. The site is just grass now. Wild. Overgrown. You wouldn't know a building once stood here unless someone told you. He's not alone. There's a man standing beside him. Shorter. Balding. 70 years old, same as Carver. Antonio Russo. They met 2 hours ago, in the town square, recognized each other immediately even though they'd never seen each other's faces before. Some recognition goes deeper than sight. They've been standing here for 15 minutes, haven't spoken much. Finally, Russo breaks the silence. I was behind the stone wall when you fired the first shot. His English is good, accented but clear. I thought you were artillery at first. The sound was too regular, too precise, then I realized. 1 gun, 1 man. Carver says nothing. We tried to flank you, 6 of us. The barn was falling apart. We thought we could rush it, but you kept firing. Every time we moved, you fired, not to kill us, to stop us. I counted you, Carver says quietly. Russo laughs. It's not a happy sound, more like acknowledgement of absurdity. Of course you did. You almost killed me, shot my canteen, water everywhere. I thought I was bleeding out. Took me 10 seconds to realize I was fine. By then your convoy was coming. We'd lost. Because of you. They're quiet again. A bird calls from somewhere in the valley, the same valley where 18 Italians and 1 American spent an hour trying to kill each other. Why did you do it? Russo asks. You were alone, unauthorized. You could have died. No one would have known. Carver thinks about the answer, about his father, about turbines and pressure, and the moment when you stop following the manual. The system was going to fail, he says finally. I was the only one who could see it. Russo nods, like this makes sense to him. My son asked me the same question once. Why did I go to war? I told him someone had to. He didn't understand. Your son? No son. Never married. I'm sorry. Don't be. I had my reasons. They stand together, two old men looking at grass, seeing ghosts. Carver reaches into his pocket, pulls out the 61st bullet, holds it out. "My father gave this to me," he says, "for when the system breaks." Russo takes it, turns it over in his hands. The brass catches the afternoon light. "You never fired it." "Never needed to. 60 was enough." Russo hands it back, carefully, like it's something sacred. "Keep it, for someone who needs it when their machine breaks." Carver closes his hand around the bullet, feels the weight of it. The promise. They walk down the hill together, two men who spent one day trying to kill each other. Spending one afternoon trying to understand why. The barn is gone. The official records say almost nothing, just scattered fragments in different files. An ammunition expenditure report filed in the National Archives. One line among thousands. 60 rounds, 30-06. September 14th, 1943. Monte Cassino sector. Origin, unconfirmed. A demolition order. Structure 247. Condemned building removed as scheduled. No complications noted. A convoy manifest. 6 trucks. 40 men. Supplies delivered intact to 36th Infantry Division. No incidents reported. 3 separate pieces of paper. Filed in 3 separate places. No connection made between them. No one looking at those documents would see the whole picture, would understand that they're all part of the same story. The story of one mechanic's son who understood that sometimes the most important work is the work no one knows you did, that sometimes following the rules means failing the mission, that sometimes the machine needs a human to break the protocol. Somewhere in that single word, unconfirmed, lies the truth that official history will never record, that 40 men went home to their families, that medical supplies reached the soldiers who needed them, that a machine gun ambush failed before it began, all because one man counted the shadows and chose function over protocol. Elias Carver returned to Pittsburgh in 1945, went back to the railroad yards, repaired turbines, lived alone, grew old. He died in 1987, 72 years old, heart attack, quick. The obituary mentioned his military service, Italy, 1943 to 1944. No decorations listed. No one who read it would know what he'd done. The pack of Winston cigarettes went to a nephew who never knew their significance. The 61st bullet was buried with him, in his jacket pocket, right over his heart. The barn site in Monte Cassino is a field now. Wildflowers grow there in spring. Tourists drive past it on their way to Rome. None of them know, but somewhere in the National Archives, that single line remains. 60 rounds, origin unconfirmed. A small discrepancy in the machine, a gap in the system. The kind of gap that keeps the gears turning.